Okay, so so we have two groups of muscles in the anterior neck, which is the suprahyoid muscles and the infrahyoid muscles. You look at the small man, okay, the small man. So in the suprahyoid muscles, so we have one of them is this muscle here, is a digastric. So we have the anterior belly and posterior belly digastric, or anterior vantage, or posterior vantar. Vantar means belly, okay, of digastric. So it basically connects, so the posterior belly comes from the mastoid process, anterior belly comes from the inferior part of the mandible here, and they have this tendon, and there's a loop of fascia or tendon structure that connects that mid part to the hyoid bone. So we have two bellies, anterior belly and posterior belly. They're innervated by different nerves. Anterior belly is innervated by
Mandibular.
right, mandibular branch. Mandibular branch. Specifically, it's like, so remember there's an inferior alveolar nerve.
Yeah.
Inferior alveolar nerve, and then this inferior alveolar nerve, it goes through the mandibular canal or mandibular foramen. But before that, it gives off the mylohyoid nerve. Nerve to mylohyoid. That nerve to mylohyoid then gives off a branch to the anterior belly of digastric. Okay, so this is what the mandibular nerve or mandibular branch, or V3. So it's innervated by V3. The posterior belly is innervated by facial nerve, which is cranial nerve number 7. Okay, cranial nerve number 7 is the facial. All right. So so basically, it's all these infrahyoid and suprahyoid muscles. Okay, so generally speaking, they do have specific functions of themselves, but generally speaking, they're basically involved in deglutition, what we call as the swallowing, chewing, and speaking. Okay, so when you open your mouth, when you chew, when you swallow, when you talk, if you look at, so this is the prominence. Everybody feels the hyoid bone. So this is the prominence, the thyroid cartilage, the Adam's apple. Just above that is the hyoid bone. So every time you talk, you see it moves. When you swallow, you see it goes up and then comes back down again. All right. Or when you swallow, your mouth also gets smaller, gets bigger. Okay. And this activity basically allows you to deviate or change the diameter of the pharynx. So whenever you swallow, so you're going to eat, so your pharynx gets larger. And when you finish, it gets smaller. It gets larger, small, so the food can go better through the pharynx. So, and then the tongue basically pushes this particle back. So all these activities is basically done by these muscles, suprahyoid and infrahyoid muscles, okay? All right. And so the hyoid bone is connected with which bone?
It has no connection.
Okay, so it does not have any bony connections, okay? So normally all the bones connect with each other, okay? But here the hyoid bone is not connected. It's basically stays at that particular position via the connections or attachment of the muscles, right? So you have suprahyoid muscle, infrahyoid muscle, so it basically stays there. All right, so we have the digastric, we talked about that. Then we have stylohyoid muscle just next to it. Stylohyoid, can you look at the model? Show me the stylohyoid. Everybody show me stylohyoid. Let me see. Okay, good. Show me, good. Now stylohyoid, it basically, it bifurcates, okay? It splits into two as it attaches to the hyoid bone. It splits into two, and the posterior belly of digastric goes through those two slips, okay? The posterior belly of digastric goes through that bifurcation. which is over here. Okay? Stylohyoid. All right? Stylohyoid. So again, that basically, it pulls the hyoid backwards, up and back. Again, it elevates the hyoid, and it acts on in the swallowing and chewing processes. And nerve is what? Facial nerve. Good. So what else? Then next muscle is the mylohyoid. Mylohyoid is an interesting muscle. Is that it forms the floor of the mouth. Okay, so beneath the tongue. It's beneath the tongue. Okay. So we have other muscles. We have genioglossus, geniohyoid, and mylohyoid. Mylohyoid is beneath the skin from the outside. Okay, it's a flat muscle. It makes the floor of the oral cavity. Okay, which is this muscle here. And that also moves. It moves so it's an oblique. So it's over here. It attaches the inner border of the mandible. So we have the posterior fibers, posterior fibers attached to the mandible, anterior fibers. So we can divide this into three parts. We have the posterior 1/3 and anterior 2/3. Posterior 1/3 attaches to the hyoid bone, anterior 2/3 attached to the raphe. What we call tenor's raphe. That's raphe on the midline. So basically they come together and they attach to this tenor's raphe, the anterior 2/3 of the muscles. Okay, and so basically it pulls. So when it contracts, so put your finger here and swallow. When you swallow, the floor of the oral cavity decreases its length. When it decreases its length, your pharynx increases. The diameter of your pharynx increases. So that's the activation of swallowing. This is mylohyoid. And nerve is what? Nerve 2, mylohyoid. A branch off from V3. Right, V3. Okay, last muscle here of the suprahyoid is the geniohyoid. Geniohyoid is located above the mylohyoid. It's inside. Okay. And right. So nerve of geniohyoid is what?
Spinal C1.
C1. Okay, so this is part of the cervical plexus. Part of the cervical plexus, C1, geniohyoid. What's the other nerve of C1 that innervates C1? That is innervated by C1.
Hypoglycia.
Just C1. It's thyrohyoid. So we have two C1s. We have the geniohyoid and thyrohyoid. We can look at thyrohyoid. That's an infrahyoid muscle, by the way, but that's C1 too. Okay. Okay. So these are suprahyoid muscles. Let's look at the infrahyoid muscles. So infrahyoid muscles. Right. Again, look at the models. You can look at this too. And so which muscles do we have? So we have the sternohyoid, that's one. Sternohyoid. And then we have the sternothyroid, thyrohyoid, and omohyoid, right. So two of these are superficial and two are the deep. Which are superficial? Sternohyoid and omohyoid. The other two is beneath these two, which is the sternothyroid and thyrohyoid, right? These two are beneath these two muscles. Okay.